Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hare Om Shrutismrutipurananamalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Tata Atma Sadanandaha Nasya Dukkham Kadachana Yat Sushuptau Nirvishayaha Atmanandonubhuyate Shruti Pratyakshamaityam Anumanancha Jagrati. Atma Sadanandaha. You see, even as you sit now and here, as you look at yourself, you can see the physical dimension, that is the body, and the body is ever changeful. That is what the body is. And then the psychological dimension, that is the mind. You can see that also. It is all in our experience. And even the psychology is very changeful, ever changing. Now the point is, up to that we know. Beyond that, generally we do not know. Only these two dimensions we are aware of. Normally, unless you pay special attention, you do not become aware of the deeper dimension. What is called the dimension of the spirit, the spiritual dimension. There is inside you, there is a deeper dimension. You see, there is a law of Vedanta. All change presupposes a changeless background. That is the law. So, you cannot have change unless there is the changeless. Without changeless, change is possible. Change is not possible. This is where the Buddhism differs with Vedanta. In Buddhism, they nicely recognize the changeful, the body-mind, and well evaluate it, but they deny to recognize the changeless background of the changeful body-mind. And so in Vedanta, we pay particular attention to the changeless background of the changeful body-mind. You see, the body-mind can be changeful. You can have the changeful body-mind only when there is the changeless background. And what is the changeless background? That is the inner dimension. And we call it Atma. That is the spirit. The word spirit is used. Now, the process of becoming, there is the process of becoming. That is located, the process is located in the body-mind. So with reference to the body-mind, there is always change, and therefore there is a process of becoming. The child becomes youth, youth becomes middle-aged, middle-aged becomes old, etc. It is always a process of becoming. And we want to, it is not coming well? Oh. No, let us try this. Why this is not working? Now these are very clumsy and very... Yeah, now it is better. We will try with this. This is a substitute for these two, So leave it like that. Okay, leave it like that. Yeah. So, there is a thing called becoming in life. We are all aware of that. Like a healthy man becomes sick, and by taking medicine, etc., the sick person becomes healthy. And an uneducated man attends the university course or whatever, college, etc., and becomes educated. The child becomes youth. That happens naturally. Without our effort, it happens naturally. Sometimes you have to put in some effort to make the process of becoming happen. And that is how we join a college and become this and that. Then they work hard and become strong physically by doing physical exercises and all that. And then quite often they apply all kinds of decorations and become more beautiful than what they are. This is also there in the world, So this process of becoming is always there. Is it okay now? No. It has slipped again. Yeah, we have to deal with it, We should have a lot of patience. We should have a lot of patience. My voice has its own disadvantage. We have to live. I have to live with it rather. So, how is it now? And Ramachandra, you have to put in some more energy into it. Om. Now it is better. So the process of becoming is there. It will be there in life. And people become unhappy. They are not born unhappy, but they become unhappy for whatever reason. And then make an effort to become happy. So this is the process of becoming. And the process of becoming is restricted to body-mind. That is what he is saying, sukham and dukkham. So you become happy, you become unhappy. All that happens within the mind. It is all in the mind. Of course associated with the body also. That is the process of becoming. And we are very well aware of this process of becoming in life. You look at people, they are very competitive to become something, very ambitious. They have to become wealthy, powerful, this and that. And then they are very greedy. They have some wealth and they have to gain some more wealth. They have to become a millionaire, and the millionaires have to become the billionaires. There is so much of effort going on in the social life, in the family life, and also in the personal life to become something other than what one is. You understand that process? And in this process, if it works in our favor, we call it sukham. Okay? When the process works in our favor, we call it sukham. Om. And if it doesn't work in our favor, we call it dukkham. No? Om. Yeah, now it is better. Can it remain? ऐसा ही रह सकता है क्या? इधर उधर चलता है फिर. Now it is okay. Good. Therefore, there is the process of becoming in life. We acknowledge it. It is there. We all pass through that process, and we are where we are because of that process. That is there. But are you aware of the being in contrast to the becoming? Are you aware? That is the question. Because becoming is connected to the changeful, whereas being is associated with the changeless. So you have to shift the focus of attention from becoming to being. That is the shift that has to happen. That is the spiritual growth. In spiritual growth, it is not some more becoming. Like you make money and become a rich guy, enjoy pleasures and become a happy guy. That is all a process of becoming, and some more of it, some more of it. And then the religion wants to make you a citizen of heaven. It wants to transport you into heaven. There you become a citizen of the heaven, and then you will become even more happy. This is all process of becoming. And we are all stuck with this process of becoming. Now the point is, it is a very practical Vedanta, it is practical philosophy. It is not some armchair philosophical discourse. It is very practical and very simple also, and very immediate, connected to our day-to-day life. The point is, can you shift the focus of attention from becoming to being? The becoming is not you, it is the other. The body-mind is the other. It is not you. In your confusion, you take the body-mind to be yourself. And therefore the process of becoming becomes your own process now. Now it is I who becomes something or the other. And if I become the right way, I am happy. If I become the wrong way, I am unhappy. So this is the bondage of samsara going on in our lives. Now you have to make an attempt. Just it is a shifting the focus of attention. It is not any physical effort required. It is not any karma. Or it is not even upasana. It is simply shifting the focus of attention. What they call jnanam. Jnanam can be understood in very practical terms as shifting the focus of attention. It is not something that you gain by reading books or by doing this or by doing that. Books can be helpful. This point only books point out. Shifting the focus of attention. It is like two people are looking at a fruit on the tree. A lot of leaves are there, therefore one of them is able to see the fruit, the other is unable to see the fruit. Both are looking in the same direction. One of them is able to see, the other is unable to see. It is like the becoming is with you, being is with you. You are aware of the being also. With me also the becoming is there, being is there, but I am not aware of the being. Now, how to change that situation? So, how could you become aware of your being and not I? It's a matter of focus of attention. Like one person sees the fruit because his focus of attention is right. The other person standing by his side looking in the same direction fails to see the fruit. He struggles to see a lot but fails to see. Now, what should he do? There is nothing to be done there. It is not about doing. It is just shifting the focus of attention the right way. That a critical shift should happen. The moment the critical shift happens, whatever way it happens, this man also will be able to see the fruit. Similarly, you and I are very much aware of the process of becoming, and in the process we derive sukham and dukkham, all that we have seen. But then can you shift the focus of attention to an inner dimension, a deeper dimension, or a higher dimension if you will, which is with you. It is accessible, the most accessible, and you access it. So you become aware of it because it is you, and that is the source of infinite happiness. That is called Atma. Okay? Now, this is the science of happiness, that is what I am saying. So, in the process of becoming, there cannot be any happiness. That is what you have to understand first. Therefore, when you try to derive happiness in the process of becoming, you are making a huge mistake in life. You are searching for the thing in the wrong place. In the process of becoming, there is no happiness. When the process works in your favor, you become temporarily pleasurable, necessarily followed by the opposite. So there are two issues there. The pleasure that you derive is very short-lived, and then it alternates with the opposite. These are the major issues of human existence. And therefore, there is no real happiness. There cannot be any happiness in the process of becoming. Morning I was mentioning, when I say desire is no good, give up desire, it's not that I say, who am I to say to you to come and say to you, don't desire? Who am I? It is your life, you can desire as many things as you wish. I am just restating what the Shastra says, what Sri Krishna says, what Gita says. And the people, no, why can't we have desires? So why can't we have, you have your desires, who stops you? Did I come and stop you when you have a desire? Did I ever come and stop you? I did not stop you, you have your desires. No, what Gita says, now you come to the point. Therefore, this resistance to the teaching, somehow try to resist the vision, it doesn't help. What is the desire? Desire is part of the process of becoming. You desire a thing which you believe you don't have, and by gaining it you feel you will become pleasurable. The belief may be right, may be wrong. Sometimes right and sometimes wrong. It doesn't make any difference. And then you work in that direction, and in a secular way you work, or you perform a ritual and get it. You see, what you can get in a normal mundane way, the ritual also promises the same thing. You work hard, some extra work you do, and you make some more money. That is what we all know in the world. And now the ritual, the religion says, by performing this ritual, you will become more wealthy. You gain wealth. In either case, assume that you perform the ritual and become wealthy. Will you be happy? Certainly not. That's why there is no fun in desiring and pursuing the desires. That is the point. Anyway, therefore you have to shift the focus of attention from becoming to being. You know, you examine your experience of real happiness. When there is happiness, the issues of power, position and achievement come to an end. As long as the issues of position, power and achievement are there, so long there is no happiness in people's lives. And when you are happy, the issue of position, power and achievement comes to an end. So, you see, when there is happiness, the struggle to become ceases. It stops, it comes to an end. The struggle to become, it comes to an end. You see, in those rare moments when you are perfectly happy, all conflict comes to an end. What is conflict? I am this, I should be that. The desire, that is the basis for desire. So I am not what I should be, that is the basis for desire. And therefore I have to become something other than what I am. That is the process of becoming. And I am what I am, but I have to become other than what I am. And therefore, between what I am and what I should become, there is a gap. And I have to fill that gap. And therefore, I have to work to fill the gap. There is a struggle. And there is a conflict to begin with. What is the conflict? This is what I am, but this is what I should be. I am not what I should be. This is what I am, but what I should be is something other than what I am. Therefore, that is conflict, because the conflict is, put in very simple words, I am not what I should be. That is the conflict. And that conflict leads to struggle. The struggle is to become what I should be. That is the struggle, and that is the process of becoming. All of it is bondage, and all of it is so much suffering. Whole life is going in that direction. Whole life is gone in that way. And now what will happen is, the person is unhappy that he is not yet a sannyasi, and he struggles to become a sannyasi. So because he believes by becoming a sannyasi he will be happy. You have to consult the sannyasis in private. So sannyasa is not about becoming. You don't become a sannyasi. You become a sannyasi not by becoming. You become a sannyasi by giving up all process of becoming. That is what sannyasa is. But you miss the point, then you bring the process of becoming into sannyasa. And that defeats the very purpose of sannyasa. Anyway, I am trying to make a point. The point is, shift the focus of attention from becoming to being. Can you do that? That is the challenge. You can. So, this moment you can shift the focus of attention from becoming to being. And the religion wants you to become something other than what you are. The world wants you to become something other than what you are. Now you turn your back on all this process of becoming, whether it is secular or whether it is religious. All this process of becoming, you have to become something other than what you are. You turn your back on this process of becoming, and you focus your attention on being. Being is Atma. Becoming is the body-mind, which is the other. And in becoming there is no real happiness. And the being is indeed the very storehouse of happiness. It is bliss, it is infinitude of happiness. That is the being. That is the meaning of the statement, Atma Sadanandaha. Nasya Dukkham Kadachana. Sukha and Dukkha, the pleasure versus pain, they are together. They are part and parcel of the process of becoming. And as long as you seek Sukha, so you will be accruing, you will be acquiring Dukkha also. And you see, you examine your experience in life. Whenever you try to become happy, you would not succeed. So you become pleasurable, you don't get real happiness. In the process of becoming there is no real happiness. Real happiness comes into being spontaneously, uninvited. So what you have to do is, you shift the focus of attention from becoming, from the body-mind, away from the body-mind, towards the inner being, which is the Atma. Atma is the being. Just be. No, I want to be happy. I want to become happy. No, you won't become happy. I want to be happy. Yes. So what should I do? There is nothing to do. It is not something to be done. It is not something to be accomplished. It is not something to be achieved. So what should, then what? You cannot ask the question, what should I do? Because there is no doing involved. Therefore you can also ask the question, then what? Just be. So what? Being. When you just be, happiness comes uninvited. So, because the happiness, ananda, cannot be the result of an effort. You see, when the mind is not occupied with itself, when the mind is not caught in this mad rush of becoming, and thereby when the mind becomes silent, so when the mind becomes silent, the changeful has come to an end now. The process of becoming has come to an end, and the being comes into its own, and in the being there is happiness. And that happiness has no opposite. And you see, there is one more viveka here, a critical viveka. That is, you see, pleasure versus happiness, pleasure versus bliss, if you will. So, pleasure is associated with a lot of paroxysm, turbulence. That is pleasure. When you are pleasurable, you cannot sit in the chair. You get up and start dancing and gyrating or jumping or shouting. You look at the pleasurable people. They create so much ruckus. In India, when they become pleasurable, they dig up the road and put a pandal and put loud mic there and start dancing on the street. Prepare food and serve on the street only. Close the street from this side and that side. And the traffic takes a detour. Why? Because they are all pleasurable. There is so much ruckus going on in the name of pleasure. Birthday party, how much nuisance it is, how much activity goes on, how much turbulence is there. In the name of a birthday, how much turbulence. Hundreds of people assemble in one place. Why should they do that? Why can't they remain in their respective places? Hundreds of them assemble in one place, and then lots and lots of food, which is very, very valuable, precious. Food is very precious. Lots and lots of food is prepared in copious quantities, and it is served without any sensitivity. So much is served, and eat as much as you can. Throw the rest. That is how these parties and these festivals happen. All in the name of birthday. Why should you do all this in the name of birthday? Because it's an occasion of pleasure. Pleasure is associated with so much turbulence, paroxysm. The pain is also equally like that. You look at, suppose something happens, there is so much turbulence, so much agitation. Something happened. So somebody became sick, there is so much agitation all around. And so much turbulence going on. And instead of one doctor treating, half a dozen doctors will be treating the same guy. And they will be fighting among themselves. It is all a big ruckus, it is, a tamasha. It goes on. So this is how the pleasure pain, both are equally turbulent. The paroxysm of the pleasure and the paroxysm of the pain, both are there. Whereas, this is what the viveka I am saying, happiness or bliss is very quiet. By very nature, it is quiet. Shanti. The happiness, ananda, is in the form of shanti. That's why in Vedanta we say Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You know the meaning of Shanti translated as peace. Om, peace, peace, peace. True, that is the correct translation. Generally I don't go against translation. Some translation you have to give, some word you have to put there. But really the word Shanti in Sanskrit, really it means cessation, the stopping of all this turbulence. That is the Shanti. And when the process of becoming comes to an end, and the mind is not struggling anymore, the mental struggle to become something other than what you are comes to an end. When the mind doesn't struggle, it means it becomes silent. When the mind becomes silent, when the being, inner being comes into its own, in the being there is the quietude of infinite happiness. That is Atma. I took my time and effort to explain what is Atma and what is Ananda, because generally in Vedanta classes, Atma and Ananda, they are treated as subjects of discussion for future reference, not immediate. Immediately we are struggling and our process of struggle continues one way or the other. It is always in the future. Self-realization is in the future. Brahmananda is also in the future. Presently we are still struggling. That is how the whole topic is presented, by keeping a safe distance between ourselves and the Atma. Always people study Vedanta, they armor themselves and study Vedanta, so that Vedanta will not really touch them. It remains at a safe distance. The attitudes are like that. I am not ridiculing, I am just pointing out, it should not be like that. Atma is now and here. Your innermost being is Atma. And if you cannot access it, then then what is the use of that Atma? It must be accessible now and here. Then only it has some sense. Your innermost being. Only thing is you have to go beyond the turbulence of the process of becoming. The turbulence created by the body-mind. The body has its comforts and discomforts. The mind has its pleasures and pains. They are ever changeful. They create a smoke screen around your inner being. You have to penetrate that smoke screen and then arrive at your inner being, where you will find infinite happiness. So that is the topic. It is a very practical thing. You have to understand a few things. True happiness cannot be found in things that change and pass away, like body, like the things around, the objects of the world. They are ever changeful and passing away. They are dying. Even as you try to hold on to them, they die away. And therefore you cannot find true happiness in such worldly things. Then body is also same. People try to derive happiness from body. Body is changeful. It cannot give you true happiness. And what all the body, the mind and the world around can give you is pleasure. But then the pleasure alternates with the pain. So happiness comes from the inner being, that inner self. It can be found in the inner self alone. So what you have to do is find your inner self, and all else comes with it. Don't try to seek happiness here and there. In fact, don't even seek happiness within. Forget about this seeking of happiness. Find your inner self, the pure being, and abide there. You can access your inner self now and here. You can abide in that inner self now and here. Do that. All else will come with that Atmanishtha. It is called Atmanishtha. You see, I suggest you are aware of what is going on around all the time. Then you are aware of your body, and body is changeful, yet you are aware of it. Then you are aware of your mind, namely the mental states. Also, between the mind and the body, there are actions. You are aware of your actions. Suppose you are walking, you are aware of your walking. You are thinking, you are aware of your thinking. You are not only thinking, but also aware of your thinking. That inner dimension is always there. You have to invoke it. You have to bring it out. But what I am suggesting is, you are aware of all these dimensions, but are you aware of your being? Are you aware of your I amness, the being? You see, you be fully aware of your own being. Be fully aware of your own being. When you do that, you will be in happiness. Happiness, of course, in the form of inner quietude. So what happens is, you allow your awareness to be drifted away from your own inner being. You allow your awareness to be caught in so many things of the world and also in the processes of the body-mind. And then when you do that, when you are no more aware of your inner being, it is kind of, you lose sight of your inner being, then the sense of well-being is lost. You see, a rich man is aware of his riches. He doesn't get the sense of well-being. A man who pursues pleasures, he is aware of his pleasure seeking, he is aware of the pleasures that he is about to derive or he is already deriving, he is aware of all that. He will never have that sense of well-being. You know what is the sense of well-being? All is well with me. That sense of well-being. When you own lots of riches, you won't get the sense of well-being from riches. From pleasures, you won't get the sense of well-being. Also, from religious rituals, you cannot get the sense of well-being. You think about, these are all practical aspects of Atmananda, very practical. I am cautiously trying to build a case around Atmananda. When you perform a ritual, what you derive from it is not the sense of well-being. Obviously, there is no sense of well-being before the ritual. That's why you perform the ritual. And during the ritual, you are so busy with its movement and therefore forget about the sense of well-being. At the end of it, what you get is not the sense of well-being. You get a kind of a euphoric sensation you get, a kind of a sense of accomplishing something or the other. It's a mental state of a pleasure and it's a sensation. When you perform a ritual, what you get is a sensation, and that sensation is obviously very short-lived. It has nothing to do with the sense of well-being. The sense of well-being you discover or you experience only when you are fully aware of your own being. Am I sounding very abstract? Or very nebulous, kind of cloudy? Thank God. God bless all of you. Because your own being is the most concrete reality. Everything else is so much smoke. The body, mind, the world, the pleasures and the pains of the world. It is all a big smoke screen. So much fog it is. The only concrete thing, only concrete reality is your being. And therefore, be fully aware of your own being. In that awareness of your own being, there is, for the first time, you discover the sense of well-being. Somehow things are not well with me, all is not well with me. That tension, that stress point will vanish, and you discover the true sense of well-being when you are fully aware of your own being. Because the being is the well-being, there is no other well-being. That is what is called Ananda, the sense of well-being. And you have to discover it in yourself. And Ananda, as I already mentioned, is of the nature of great peace. So, to discover that Ananda in you, which is the Atma, you have to strive towards harmony between the inner and the outer. Suppose you are frustrated. What does frustration mean? Frustration means between the inner and the outer, there is no harmony, there is a conflict. That is the frustration. And then what is desire? What is desire? The desire is the absence of harmony between between the inner and the outer. Like you have something and you don't have something else. And therefore, you are not in harmony now. You know what is harmony? Harmony means there is no struggle, there is no conflict. The absence of struggle and conflict is harmony. Suppose I am placed in a given situation. I am comfortable with my surroundings, I am comfortable with my companions, and I am comfortable with what I have, I am comfortable with what I am. That is what is called harmony. Right? And disharmony is exactly the opposite of it. Therefore, when you feel frustrated, when you seek things, you feel frustrated. When you desire things, the harmony is disturbed. And when there is no harmony, you will not be able to discover that inner being. Therefore, it is imperative to establish the harmony between the inner and the outer, so that without any hindrance, you can discover your inner being. So first you have to establish that harmony. Otherwise what happens, suppose there is no harmony between you and the surroundings, then the mind will be very agitated. The absence of harmony is equivalent to a lot of agitation of the mind. And an agitated mind acts like a smoke screen and covers up the inner being. Therefore, you nicely establish a harmony with the surroundings, with the people around you. Suppose you are quarreling with the people around you, there is no harmony, then you cannot discover that inner being. Suppose you are frustrated with the things around you. Suppose you are desiring too many things and therefore you are outgoing all the time. In all those situations, you will not be able to access that inner being. When the harmony is established, the harmony is the most important element in the sadhana, in the pursuit of truth. The most important element is harmony. And therefore, suppose you are fighting against one caste on behalf of another caste, or you identify with one religion and fight against another religion. So when you do such things, the harmony is lost. And when there is no harmony, you lose the chance of discovering that inner well-being, inner being, which is the Atma. Therefore, the harmony is the most important thing. Then, to discover that inner happiness, you see, this is the philosophy of life, And so, when you have to explore the philosophy of life, even the language fails you. Language becomes inadequate. And even the faculty of thinking falls short. That is the level of the philosophy of life. Anyway, you see, suppose you seek happiness. When you seek happiness, in the process, even while you are seeking happiness, you make you unhappy. You make yourself unhappy. Otherwise, what is meant by seeking happiness? Therefore, the moment you seek happiness, you establish yourself as unhappy. Otherwise, you cannot seek happiness, Unless you are unhappy, how can you seek happiness? Therefore, seeking happiness makes you unhappy. Did you see the contradiction in that? You want to be happy, therefore you seek happiness, thereby you become unhappy. So you are working against your own interest when you seek happiness. Therefore, stop seeking happiness. Suppose you go to a place, you stop seeking happiness in the place. You will be in harmony and in comfort in the place. Suppose you start seeking happiness in the place, immediately the place becomes poisonous to you. You are relating with a person. Don't seek happiness in the relation. This is the biggest mistake that we do in life. You want to be happy by deriving happiness from the relation. That puts an enormous burden on the other person. The relation is a dipole, and from your side you are seeking happiness in the relation. That means the other person has to oblige you, has to cooperate with you. Then only you will get your share of happiness. That puts a burden on the other person, and the other person will not oblige. Sometimes the person may oblige, but after some time the person cannot oblige for whatever reason. Therefore, your happiness becomes very vulnerable, very brittle. That is not happiness in any case. That is the pleasure of attachment. That is very brittle, and you will lose it soon. Suppose in the relation, you don't seek happiness in the relation. You try this. Life is a life of relations. You always relate with the other person. That is what life is, in one form or the other. And you relate with the other person without seeking happiness. Don't seek any happiness in a given relation. The relation will blossom and you will remain happy. The moment you seek happiness in the relation, you will become unhappy. Why? Because you are seeking happiness. That is the reason. You don't look for another reason. The other person not obliging, you become unhappy. That is there anyway. But the fact that you seek happiness makes you unhappy. Why? Because you are seeking happiness. That is the reason. Would you get that reason? Therefore, don't seek happiness in any relation. Then how to deal with the relation? Make the other person happy. Then what happens, when you stop seeking happiness in the relation and you positively try to make the other person happy in the relation, you will not know what is unhappiness. You will discover the bliss which is within you all the time. This is how people have to build the relations. So, you see, about happiness, there are one or two laws. One law could be, if you cannot be happy now, you can never be happy in life. That is the law. Generally, people want to be happy in future. So I have invested some money and it will bring in a lot of dividends and then I will be happy. You will remain unhappy all your life. You will never be happy. After getting married, I will be happy. We all know. This is how human life moves on. All these young men and women, they believe that they will be happy after getting married. Marriage is the natural process. I am not saying anything against marriage. You have to correctly understand. I am not against marriage. I am suggesting in future when I get married, I will be happy. You will never be happy. You don't know the secret of happiness. After I get the job, I will be happy. Now I am unemployed. After getting employment, I will be happy. What happened to all the employed people? Are they happy? And then after getting children, I will be happy. No. No father can ever be happy in life. These are facts of life. How can you be happy having given birth to children? You are destined to suffer. And you have to carry the cross to the grave. There is no question of being happy. So this is how we always postpone happiness. Finally, religion teaches us that you will be happy in heaven. That is the contribution of religion, the postponement of happiness. Now in this background, now I pronounce the law. The law is, if you cannot be happy now, you can never be happy any time in future. You can only be happy now. And if you cannot be happy now, bus, you are condemned to unhappiness, you can never be happy. So that is one law. A second law, the only way to be happy is to make others happy. You see, one couple met me immediately after marriage. They asked my advice, what advice I can give to them. So they are just now married, and so I will not be able to advise them, They know the worldly things and they will pursue their worldly path. But still I had an advice to give to them. The husband should always try or strive to make the wife happy, and vice versa. You know what these young men and women, what they ask? What will I get in the marriage? If I marry you, what will I get? That is how they ask. I came across a young lady. When a match is proposed to her, she looks at the credentials of the guy and asks, what will I get in marriage? If I marry this guy, what is it that I am going to get? My goodness, she will never be happy in her life. That is not the formula for happiness. You are so selfish of your own happiness, you can never be happy in life. She just lost the secret of happiness. And people are nuts, they don't know the secret of happiness. The secret of happiness is you will become happy if and only if you try to make others happy. You never ever try to derive happiness from others. Always try to make others happy. Therefore, that is how Atma Sadanandaha. Tata Atma Sadanandaha Nasya Dukkham Kadachana. You see, a question is asked. In the waking state, you are alternately happy and unhappy. In the dream state, again, you are partly happy, partly unhappy, alternately happy and unhappy. So we have both the pleasure and pain in our experience. Now the question is, which is intrinsic to the human being? Is it happiness which is intrinsic or the opposite? So you have to look at a situation where the pleasure is absent and see what happens to the pain. The pain is also absent. That is the sleep. You see, in the sleep state, you are invariably happy. You are in bliss. In sleep, you are ever happy. Can you ever be unhappy? Can you be unhappy in sleep? You can never ever be unhappy in sleep. You see, people, they are very unhappy during the waking state, very unhappy, very distressed, and the sense of well-being is totally absent. They are struggling for one thing or the other. The worldly people are like that, and the so-called religious or spiritual people are no better. And so people are unhappy people. But when the moment they go into sleep, all the unhappiness vanishes. And there is direct experience of bliss in sleep. What does it prove? It proves the point that in your swarupa, in your intrinsic nature, there is no unhappiness. You see, a person approached Ramana Maharshi and said, I am very unhappy for this. There are reasons for being unhappy also. I am a very sad person, please guide me. The Maharshi asked him, did you sleep in the night? Last night did you sleep? Yes, I slept. Were you happy or unhappy in sleep? Of course I was in bliss in sleep. Okay, now when did you become unhappy? After waking up. Now what is the difference between the sleep and the waking up that could make the difference of happy versus unhappy? You have to examine, Because in sleep there was no unhappiness, and you woke up and then became unhappy. Therefore something emerged now, which is the cause of unhappiness. What is that something? The mind, the ego. Therefore, it is the mind, it is the ego, which moves between the opposites of pleasure and pain. And in the absence of the mind, in sleep, means intrinsically, in sleep you are there. Now the question is, are you there in sleep or not? You are. Suppose somebody says, I am not there in sleep. That proves that he is. Because who is claiming the absence in sleep? This guy. Therefore he is there in this sleep. It is like somebody said, at that place, at that time, there was nobody. You see, he said in a court of law as evidence, as a witness. At that place, at that time where this event happened, there was nobody. That is the evidence given. And if that evidence is true, what it proves? It proves that he was there. Right? Therefore, in sleep, were you there in sleep? No. That proves that he was there. Got it? Therefore, you were there in the sleep. You, the particular person that you take yourself to be, is not there in sleep. But you were there in sleep. The unhappiness that is associated with that particular person is not there in sleep. There is only bliss in the sleep. Therefore, you are not the person that you take yourself to be. That is one aspect. We will come to that later. We are discussing only happiness now. Happiness is intrinsic to you. The bliss is intrinsic to you. And unhappiness is imported. It is not original. Happiness is your original swarupa. Unhappiness is caused by an extraneous element. So when you wake up, you immediately identify with the body-mind. And through that identification, you look at the world. And in the process, the world appears divided into the opposites of pleasure and pain. And therefore you become pleasurable and painful alternately. This is how it happens. Therefore you have to wake up and identify with the body-mind and then interact with the world through that identification. That is the formula for suffering and unhappiness. Minus all that, in yourself, you are the bliss. Prove it. Sleep is the proof. There are three states in a person's life: waking, dreaming and sleep. To understand the person's nature, the body, the mind, the spirit, to understand the person correctly, the individual correctly, all the three states should be taken into account. Swami Ramatirtha complained against the Western philosophy, particularly of Aristotle, etc., some of the Western philosophers. He complained against them that they have not taken sleep state into account for their study of human nature. They have taken only the waking state and dream state and tried to understand the human existence. The datum is incomplete because in life half the time we spend in sleep state, more or less half. And that state you totally ignore as if it doesn't have any connection or relevance with the human existence. You ignore that state. Now the datum is incomplete and therefore the conclusions cannot be correct. That is how Swami Ramatirtha complains. You have to take sleep state into account because you do exist in sleep. Then who am I? If I exist in sleep, who am I? And then what is the waking state and what is the dream state? Where from the difference comes and what is my essential nature? This is how the sleep state contributes to our understanding of the self in a big way. That is what he is saying. Yat sushuptau nirvishayah atmanandonu bhuyate. So, sushupti is a deep sleep. Susupti becomes sushupti. So deep sleep, why deep sleep? The idea is to keep dream state away. It is not disturbed by dreams. It is a deep sleep, slumber what they say, deep sleep. In deep sleep, you do experience the bliss. Now, generally, if happiness is something that you have to derive from the world of objects, in sleep, there is no world of objects. You lose the world of objects altogether. I mean, the world of objects altogether vanishes. It just doesn't exist anymore. And therefore, suppose riches are the cause of happiness. In sleep, there are no riches. The riches vanish. Therefore, you should be most unhappy in sleep. Generally, people believe that less riches, less happiness, more riches, more happiness. If that formula is true, then zero riches means zero happiness. But look at the sleep state, zero riches, infinite happiness, bliss. Then in the waking state, the less of pleasurable things, less pleasure. More of pleasurable things, the sense pleasures, more of pleasure. And if you follow the same formula, in deep sleep, zero of pleasurable things, therefore there must be zero happiness. Again it proves wrong. Therefore, the deep sleep state is a big teacher. It can teach quite a few things to us. One thing is, right away you can formulate what are the things that you can learn from sleep. One, I am not essentially the person who I suppose myself to be. Based on waking state experience, I assume a personality to myself. That personality is not what I really am. This is one point that the sleep state immediately proves, because in the sleep there is no personality. The personality that you imagine yourself to be is absent, altogether absent in sleep state, yet you are. Therefore that personality is not intrinsic to you. That one point is proved. Second point, happiness is intrinsic to you. It is your swarupa. In the absence of the entire world, in the absence of all the gods and goddesses to bring in the religious aspect and their worships, there are no worships, there are no gods, there are no goddesses in the sleep state, deep sleep, yet you are in bliss. Therefore, bliss is your essential nature. That is the second point. There is one more point that you can learn from the sleep state. The third point is, you believe that you are attached to so many things. Like you are attached to your wealth, your possessions, your relations, my wife, my son, I am attached to them. You believe like that. And also you believe you are attached to your ideas, your religion, your caste, creed. These are all ideas. People are attached to them. We believe that we are attached to all those things. For example, I may believe I am attached to my sannyasa, my ashram, my class, this, I am attached to all of that. Everybody has his own attachments, I may believe all that. But sleep right away proves that I am not attached to anything. Because when it is time to sleep, I give up everything as if I am not connected to any of those things at all, as if none of those things matter, and go into deep slumber. It proves that my belief that I am attached to all these things is false. If I am really attached to all these things, I should not be able to sleep, because in sleep all these things vanish. But I am happily going to sleep. In fact, I make special arrangements to sleep. That only proves the point that I am not really attached to any of these things. That is what we say, asango hyayam purushaha. You believe that you are attached to your riches. You are not. You believe that you are attached to your wife, husband, son, daughter, etc. You are not. You believe that you are attached to your position of power, this and that. You are not. You are not attached to anything. You are totally unattached. That is your Swarupa. And this point is proved beyond doubt by your experience of sleep state. I will complete this verse. So most of it is over now. With that, the topic also concludes and we move on to the next topic. All that we will do tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Shishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Krishnarpanamastu.